SNX Radio invites you to unravel the mysteries of the cosmos with us as we dive into UFOs, cryptids, and everything otherworldly. As we navigate the night, we investigate the unknowns that spark our curiosity and challenge our understanding of reality.
Take the journey, come on, let's go. Ooh yeah, where the stars and secrets flow. Some Nation X radios glow. In the night, we'll ride the show into the unknown, unknown, where mysteries are shown, shown. Dance to the beat we own, own. Yeah. Come with us and let it go, go. Night sky whispers in the dark. Secret trails will leave a mark. Follow close, ignite that spark. We're alright, it's just the start. Into the unknown, unknown, where mysteries are shown, shown. Dance to the beat we own, own. Yeah. Come with us and let it go, go. Feel the rhythm, feel the night. Every heartbeat, pure delight. So mysteries come to light. Hold on tight, it's out of sight. Into the unknown, unknown, where mysteries are shown, shown. Dance to the beat we own, own. Yeah. Come with us and let it go, go. Feel the rhythm, feel the night. It's every heartbeat, pure delight. Mysteries come to light. Hold on tight, it's out of sight. It's out of sight. Into the unknown, unknown, where mysteries are shown, shown. Dance to the beat we own, own. Yeah. Come with us and let it go, go. Feel the rain, come on, let's go. Feel it. Oh yeah, where the stars and secrets glow so bright. Some Nation X radios glow. Oh no, in the night we'll ride the show into the unknown, unknown, where mysteries are shown, shown. Dance to the beat we own, own. Come with us and let it go, go, go. Where mysteries are shown, shown, shown. Dance to the beat we own, own. Come with us and let it go, go.
Unraveling the mysteries, secrets in the night. We travel through the cosmos, ready for the flight. Together we'll shine, casting shadows aside. In the heart of the rhythm where our dreams collide.
Join the Sub Nation X quest, the truth is our guide. And alright.
From this combination X quest, the truth is our guide in the vast expanse. It's where we reside. Hands up to the sky, let the bass ignite. Feel the groove surround us. Everything's alright. SNX Radio, let the truth ignite. Together we'll shine, bringing shadows to light. In this cosmic dance, we're connecting the dots.
Tune into the frequency, let's explore the spots. Heavy bass drops with tight beats.
Illuminate the shadows, the echo of our call.
On this roller ring will never fall.
Feel the energy rising, can you sense the spark? As we dive deeper into the cosmic arc.
Stories of the universe, mysteries unfold. In the heart of SNX, where the truth is gold. Every note we play, every line we write, crafting our legacy, shining ever bright.
SNX Radio, let the truth ignite. Together we'll shine, bringing shadows to light. In this cosmic dance, we're connecting the dots.
Tune into the frequency, let's explore the spot. Here in the spotlight, we're taking our turn. With the fire in our hearts, let the passion burn. SNX Radio's call, ringing through the air. Together we rise, together we dare.
So join us now, let the rhythm flow. With SNX Radio, we're ready to go. Unraveling the mystery side by side, we stand hand in hand. In this dance of truth, let the story expand.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of SNX Radio. I did see in the comments that people were concerned about the AI. I'll have you know that I wrote all that music myself. AI just mixed it. I did all the lyrics. I did all the stuff to it. I do the graphics. But the reason that I do it is that on Twitter, on X, it depends on what generation you're talking to, we have a huge following and close to 50K on there. And so in order to get our guest the largest audience possible, I get on there and I have to wait until it goes live, and then I drop it into the groups, and that gets between 200 and 400 extra live listeners for them. So I do feel like it's worth it. So welcome back, everybody, and hello everyone in chat. It's always great to see you. I don't have my glasses on, so I am aesthetics. Nice to see you, Kitty Cat Whack. Welcome back. Bino, I hope I'm saying this right, or Beno, I feel like, from Oz. Welcome. Let's see, who else do I have? Oh, Pseudo by name, or name. And I know I apologize again for the AI, but it's the only way, unless you guys have some other creative ideas. I thought at least you can listen to some fun music along the way. Kurt W75, always awesome. And thank you, Bigfoot Michigan Rob. Welcome. Rob, I was just thinking about you. We need to set up another show. So I'm going to be DMing you shortly. So let's see. I hope I didn't miss anybody. Oh, like Fractal Crystal Diva. Hello and welcome. Let's see. I did not. Spider Bite. Hey girl. So nice to see you. Yes. Welcome everyone. And if I did miss you, I apologize. I will definitely get back to you. So we have a super exciting guest. He is he's been on SNX probably 4 times before, at least 3 or 4 times before. He's absolutely fantastic, and in every single way. I really connected with Jeff Selver. He's an ET experiencer. And on a side note, I mean, so much of his experience, the first time I remember talking to him, I was like, wow, it just hit home. So I'm sure that it's going to hit home with many of you. He's got an MBA, a passion for management and leadership. He worked in banks, corporate training, and is a motivational speaker teaching mindful leadership. He has been under the tutelage of Vedic teacher for over 20 years, where he learned, I'm going to have to ask him about this type of meditation. When memories of alien contact came out, Jeff began presenting on his contact events in UFO groups, sharing his story in detail and providing research and collaboration with other experiencers. He definitely does that. He currently resides in Vancouver, British Columbia, with his spouse. And he's got a great book. So Rising, which is about his experience with great aliens. And you can read more about that and his contact events and consciousness and everything like that. And I'll let him, because I don't want to give too much away. So if you don't know Jeff, he's absolutely wonderful. You're going to enjoy tonight's show. So without further ado, welcome, Jeff. Welcome back.
Yeah, thanks, Coley. Thanks for having me. Thanks for the intro. Yeah, it's great. It's great to be on.
Tell us about the meditation that you did. I'm sure I slaughtered the name a bit, but I felt like I might have.
You mean Vedic philosophy? Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Did I say the Vedic? Did I say it right?
Sure. Yeah. Vedic.
Yeah.
Understandable. Yeah.
We'll just keep going anyway. Yeah. But no, I thought that was kind of fascinating that you did all that. And I was telling people, I'm sure you heard back there, just how I met you and heard your story and connected with it as an experiencer in so many ways. And I just feel like so much of your work is phenomenal. And I would love, people who don't know you in the community or people who aren't aware of your work to really understand, like, I love the story of your awakening even, and like kind of what brought you into this. So I don't know, for those of you who have heard Jeff before, that's excellent. If you haven't, go back and look at his previous episodes. But do you want to kind of give the viewers like just, kind of your background and how you came about the Rising?
Yeah, sure. Sure. I'll give a kind of a brief summary if I can. Yeah, brief if it can be that way.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, it all started in 1997. I call it a consciousness event, and basically, I had read a weird book, and it triggered a consciousness event that is unfounded. So besides having, maybe you could say, God revelation, it had an effect where I saw light coming out of the cells of my body when I kind of in this astral state or closed eyes or whatever, however it wants to be framed. And so there were some weird signature things about it that made no sense, and was paired with a message to leave my life. It sounds insane, and at first I resisted it, and then eventually I felt I couldn't live with myself if I did resist it. So I eventually succumbed to the message, and I started to travel. The message was fundamentally to rid yourself of your humanness, so to get rid of your attachments. Technically, what the whole thing was about was, if you rid yourself of your attachments, you remove yourself from fear, from like all your fear. Like all fear is driven out of attachments, and in that you can find maybe your source, God, if you will. And so I got rid of all my attachments, connections to family, friends, career, money, house, everything. And I lived off of intuition and the will of God. It was totally insane, but it felt, I was compelled to do it. I was drawn to do it. And 6 weeks in, I had a close encounter with a red orb. And that was the beginning of me feeling like some other presence was involved. I couldn't quite understand what actually had occurred, and I had no answers for it. And I felt there was a presence at the time that was involved with it. But when I saw that red orb, it at least confirmed for me there was purpose to what had happened to me. And I didn't quite understand it. And so I was on this mission traveling for 2.5 years, and I had several encounters with objects in the sky that I just considered to be orbs. And that word wasn't even in my head, the word orbs. I didn't understand it. Something was linked to me. If I would think about it, it showed up. And that was it. 2.5 years of that. And then it ended with me meeting my to-be wife. So there was this kind of like bunch of synchronicities that had me meet my wife and my girlfriend at the time. And yeah, she was following a Vedic guru. And so he's like a true guru from a lineage that comes from the Himalayas. And, yeah, that's what my life kind of led to. We saw a UFO the night we met. So it was very ordained, felt meant to be. And I've been with her since. We got married in 2008. But when I met her and then kind of followed her back to Toronto, all the orbs stopped. All the weirdness of that whole traveling period ended. And I never found an answer for what had actually occurred to me. And it was basically by 2016, I was questioning what that consciousness event was all about. None of it made any sense to me. And by 2019, I mean, my head did not go towards aliens and UFOs. And by 2019, Jeremy Corbell's documentary on Bob Lazar had me taking UFOs seriously for the first time. And I started watching a YouTube channel that has people's anomalous objects that they filmed on their cameras, and they just posted online. And then when I started watching those, the objects I had seen traveling came back. And that was the first time a link was made. And then they started to communicate with me, these objects. And what unraveled was a process that first was it drawing attention to a screen memory from back when I was a teenager. And when I was 17 years old, of an owl I didn't actually see. An owl that was in my mind that I had seen, but I kind of realized I hadn't seen it. It wasn't a real owl. And it was behind my house when I was 17 years old. And I went back to the location and the whole thing kind of started busting open. And it took about months, and it took several months, but flashback after flashback kind of started unraveling of this whole period. And it turned out that they were the ones who initiated the traveling and the whole consciousness event. And they were the ones behind my traveling period. And that's it. And then, I wrote the book, and the book is The Rising. Yeah.
And that's it. You've had, some phenomenal. I didn't realize that your wife saw a UFO the same. You guys saw one together, and she was a part of. Okay, so the guru, so she kind of had a mind. Because I'm thinking, how do you walk into this? And your story, it's so complicated. I mean, you walked away from the corporate world. I did the same thing. Thing. It's just so you walk away from that. You meet someone, she understands. She's like, man, you don't want to go back to banking, Jeff, or there was never a question or a complicated or she kind of understood.
Well, yeah. Okay. So there's several things there, but with the banking and with the corporate world, I'm an artist. I'm an artist by heart. So I was a musician back in the day. And so maybe I was trying my feet in the corporate world, and of course I could manage myself, but I didn't really enjoy it. It doesn't have the spirit, and she's a spirit person too. So she, she's in social work. So let's put it that way. And it's a job of heart, if you will. So she understood that. She understood that conflict. And so she didn't fight me on that conflict when I kind of realized that wasn't my passion. So, she's been behind me on all that stuff.
Oh, so she's in social work. Yeah, I was a mental health therapist for 7 years. I understand that the way you worded it was perfect with the heart over. Because you're not in that to be a profitable person. You stretch your imagination's not compared to the banking world. That's for sure.
I've got in mind, right, that I love the I think there's this it's called Strengths Finder. It helps you learn what your strengths are, so you can kind of adapt them to the work environment. And mine is I'm able to take big concepts and then turn them down to usable processes for the individual. So I loved learning about the economy in the world. Actually, I really enjoyed, that's the MBA side where I really enjoyed it. Actually, really loved learning what actually makes the economy tick and what makes our world tick every day. And it was kind of fun to apply that to the bank, but it is cold. In the end of the day, it's numbers. It's all driven by sales. Yeah, it's not that fun at all. So
yeah, that's so true. That's so true. So you're digesting a pretty. And I remember you saying that you did see Corbell's documentary, and it just kind of, what do you think it was about that triggered all those memories for you?
Well, so I'm a grounded guy.
You really are. You really are.
Yeah. And aliens and UFOs are not, at the time in 2019, wasn't that grounded. It just wasn't. And so I was never attracted to it. I learned about, alien abduction content from Whitley Strieber's stories. Okay. And my mind was into that as a teenager. But I kind of just didn't want to be a part of that anymore. I didn't have attraction to it. I don't really have the answer to that. It just my life was about music, and it was about, finding a way to have a career. And really, that was it. I love my
Blend
music.
in society somewhat. Yeah.
Yeah, especially after traveling and how weird that period was. I absolutely had a part of my head that said I wanted to blend in. I wanted to be normal because of how abnormal that was. And it was such a bizarre period. It kind of, it really exhausted me how extreme the traveling period was, the 2.5 years. So I did have a desire to, be normal, if you will. And it really, I guess, lasted right into my 30s at that point. Yeah.
No, it really is. Like nobody, I said, as much as, this whole experience has been, I wouldn't trade most of it for anything in the world. There's still, I mean, if people don't understand, like this is everything, this is going out right to everybody in my community. Everybody knows here. And then this is a small area. And then they look at you. You don't necessarily want to be the UFO ET crazy person roaming around. You know what I mean? Like
exactly it. Yeah. I actually say that I'm if your stuff isn't taken seriously, then you end up being the crazy guy with a book, right? Right. It's like you're determined for like scientists or someone to take this seriously, right? So it feels good that people do take it seriously, but there's still a degree with which you want it to be globally taken seriously. Like the military might one day want to learn about what happened to you, or someone, the politicians or something, right? Some scientist, and you have that in your head. And when you're not, you feel like you're relegated to crazy land. So it's challenging.
And you gotta understand. I mean, from an understanding like point is, and I didn't realize this like in the beginning, but when you think about it, and I feel like a lot of it may be kind of by design, but there is a certain segment of this population that is, and you have to really weed through because there is a delusional, schizophrenic type, like that has weeded itself in here that may not be, and it's like, man, or it just, some of that stuff, but it really is. And like you said, that humanness and that ego death, or it got to a point for me where I was like, man, if I don't just do this and go in, so everywhere I'd go, everybody would be like, do you have to do it? I'm like, yes, I do. Because I was just like, okay, just like instantly it was like my going in the door. Hey, anybody new? Oh, have you ever seen a UFO? Do you know? Because I thought if I got somebody and I did my job or did my part, it would stop.
Right.
And it didn't, because there was a part of me, even though as much as I loved the experience, I was like, man, I want to go back to society a little bit. At that point I did, it's like it's normal kind of, it is.
It's isolating is what it is. And it's isolating. And that is what the traveling period was. It was an isolating period. And that's the most contact I ever had, right? I think at one point it was once a month. It was so condensed, and it's because I got isolated, and they were giving me contact events in moments that I isolated myself. So I would go onto Hornby Island in the middle of the night, and then there was a contact event, and I drove down this valley where there was nobody down there, and there was a contact event. So they're always finding ways to get at you when there's in these isolating moments, and then never mind how isolating the contact is in and of itself. They might be giving you information, which they did with me, and people can't digest it, so it's all happening to you privately. And so there's a very real isolating truth to alien contact that just makes you want to adapt, or be a chameleon and come back to society and be like everybody else. But it doesn't fully work, because the reality is that you have to integrate what happened to you and accept it, and then be yourself in it, and then in the end of the day you can speak to people properly about it, and then that's how you build your relationships. But it takes it's a process. Mine started in 2017, so I've come, now it's just like who I am, and but there was a time where I was like, oh God, it just so much, like, it just kind of like crashes in like waves. That's how it was for me. And the moment I came in contact with something that was so incredibly, they measured it to be 50 foot in diameter, 30 feet away. It wasn't even over like 10, 15 feet above my head. Wow. From that point on, life changed.
any question or doubt in my mind of anything like this existence, that's done.
Boom,
It's just like, boom, total change.
Yeah.
Was that
Totally.
kind of quick in how it was with you? I mean, like, but it is such a journey, but man, do the Band-Aids, like, I feel like it was just ripped right off.
Yeah. I may have had a different angle about it and that's a fascinating part of my story now that I've learned and digested so many other stories. Now that I'm kind of at the space where I'm reading books, I'm reading John Mack's book and stuff. And I'm learning about other people's contact and I had the spiritual element down first. So that's the fascinating twist to this. So my world accepted that other things could be very real. And my world accepted, dimensionality. I didn't call it that, but spirituality is pretty dimensional. And I believed we weren't part of time, or that time is a whole other aspect of reality that we can master. And space is, remote viewing and all that. And consciousness, near-death experiences, past life awareness, all of that was a normal part of my world that I investigated in my own consciousness. Then when the aliens showed up, they were the first thing that happened is that it answered things that all seemed separate. And because I actually had gained awareness that I couldn't understand why I had it. Like I was able to speak to people who'd passed on, right? Loved ones. And this all kind of just, it happened after that rising, after the 1997 events. I kind of
you grew up a medium? I grew up being able to talk to spirits, like where I always knew I had that.
Yeah, no, that's the bizarre part of my life. And that's how I always framed it, that I had none of this stuff before. The year 1997, before the rising or that kind of weird consciousness event, things started to happen. So I started having some type of like psychic experiences that were new to me. And I just thought it was because I was exploring and reading books. I didn't really know what was going on. And then this consciousness event happened. And after that, I had some extraordinary abilities. The first was really that I was able to hear people who had passed on. And that was the real first like indicator. The other is that my past life awareness expanded. And the psychic events were minimal, but they were with loved ones. I had them pretty consistently. So if my wife, I could feel or could hear her sometimes. And then certain friends who were thinking about me and that kind of stuff. And then that just expanded over time too. But before that consciousness event, I had nothing. So I'd always attributed it to this consciousness event. And then when the aliens came into my life in 2019, and that all kind of, showed up, I was having poltergeist activity, like insane. It was getting out of control. So then it kind of out of nowhere answered everything all in one shot. Because all of a sudden it made sense, like, okay, that's where the awareness comes from. That's why their UFOs are here. That's why there's poltergeist activity. That's why I have past life awareness. That's why all of a sudden it just like went boom, 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 boom. And the answer for all the crazy consciousness.
So it caught you up because there's so many similar. Every single one of us has that ability to talk to the dead, to the deceased. So do you feel like if maybe that's a part of it too, like the whole to get us all on where we have all like the skills that we need or they need us to have? I don't know. Have you ever thought about it like that?
Yeah, well, I study this stuff, right? This is the study of consciousness. And I'm pretty convinced that the aliens are a non-dual. They're coming from a non-dual reality. So they're coming from the unified God field. So when we're on craft, we feel good because the field is more prevalent, or it's kind of more in tune frequencies. That's why the telepathy is very strong and very real in their environment, and the crafts are alive. And so we are, and the aliens can also be twisting up time. So they're putting things into different, time fields. All of that affects our own consciousness. And so the way I like to frame it is that we're touching our own oversoul. We're touching our own part of our own dimensionality that's in that space. And then, when you come out of it, you have side effects. And the side effects are you have expanded consciousness. You may have an ability to, hear voices, but importantly, you're touching an aspect of yourself that is from the it's almost like you might have had your own near-death experience. If you're open to it, by the way, the human ego, is the problem here. And John Mack's book is really good. That's why I kind of digested it in the book Abduction. It's because you're dealing with humans who first fight, resist, are angry, feel violated, and then they grow. And everyone does it. Everyone has all the contact events he kind of studies, you have all this fighting, and then people who have to figure out how to release their ego death, have an ego death about what's happened to them. And when they do, they accept all this consciousness experiences that they've had, and then they start growing, and then they realize, oh, there was a real purpose. Yeah, there was a real purpose to what happened to me. And
what do you think of the Bufo ceremonies, like the
which
ceremonies? What did you say?
Which Bufo?
The Bufo, like where the DMT, like I guess it'd be DMT, like where the ego death. I did a ceremony. I'm just wondering, they call it the ego death, and it's supposed to take you there in like seconds. So I didn't have to go through all that. I was just wondering if you ever, when you're talking about that ego death, because it sounded like a more long and excruciating process you had to go through and endure.
Yeah, well, it was the consciousness event was my own ego death, and rid myself of my humanity is the idea. So that's an uncomfortable feeling, shedding yourself of that. Oh, it was awful. It almost makes your skin crawl. At times it's like, man. Yeah, it was intense. I'll say that. That's for certain. But it paid off. Let's put it that way. So that's the kicker here, is that it paid off, because the alien contact was very real, and I grew, and there's certain strengths I have now that all originate from that period. So yeah, it was definitely meant to be. That's so true. Yeah, it definitely is. Do you think there was any way that you could have like said, hey, I don't want to do this, like this isn't for me, or did you feel like me too? I fought them. My 12th contact event, I got into a fight with the elder. I got into a fight with a gray alien. I don't mean physically, but they were telepathy. Judo. Yeah. And I was demanding, and they were like, not going to happen. and I was like, I'm not going back until you. So let me tell you a bit of the story. It's pretty nuts. And Kate, by the way, I'm going to start moving into publicly, and we're talking more about the kind of more traumatic content. But when I do, I'm going to be pairing it up with how to heal from it, because I think the human is, we have a lot of terror around some of this stuff that most people, when you look down the rabbit hole, they all grow from it, and they all grow positively from it. And I did too. So I was traumatized at the time, but now I look back and I'm like, no, it's actually good that this all kind of, progressed the way it did. So it's my 12th contact event, and I'm in Nova Scotia, and they do a biological event where they're putting things into me, and it's awful. And I've had enough of that. They've done it quite a bit up to that period, and I'm fighting with them at this point. And I'm not fighting with them at this moment, but I'm saying in my head, I don't want this anymore. When it's done, I actually asked for the elder, the main green alien I'm dealing with, and they send me to her. It's actually really interesting. They basically say, or if this one entity I was dealing with, and the craft goes to some location. I can only assume as a base or something. And it seemed to be in space. So then I go down this tube or this walkway, and the elder, I run into her, and she's like, my friend, what's going on? And I'm like, is there any way? So what was terrifying me was that I'd left my life, and I didn't have a way of knowing what was going on with me. And the mystery was now starting to disturb the 20-year-old, the person who was just living out his normal life. He was pretty lost, and I was a version of me that I'd never experienced before. So I was terrified about what was going on. So I'm living a duplicity. One guy who knows what everything is all about, and the other is living in mystery about it. And I'm aware of the guy who's getting screwed up about it. So I'm kind of feeling anxious. And so I'm approaching the elder, and I'm saying, is there any way, all in telepathy, of course, is there any way I can know? Is there any way we can make, we can let me know that this is happening? And she's like, Jeff, that's impossible. That won't happen. It's all in telepathy, right? It's all in telepathy. And I'm like, but please, is there any way that this could happen? And she's like, no, that won't happen. You're with, and then I actually backtrack, and I start saying, I want to go home. I don't want this anymore. And I'm like, I really wanted to stop traveling or stop the confusion. And she's like, that's impossible. You're with us, and this is the way it moves. And then she tried to console me. You need to. Oh, well, that's good. Yeah. Yeah. You need to figure out a way to make this work, maybe. And then she kind of gives some advice that's like, be like the way you were before. You have to make moves. You have to do something. You have to break out of your shell, basically, is what she's saying. And then she says, but you can't stay here anymore. You have to go. And I'm like, so for me, I'm thinking, if I go, I'm going to go back to this world of this person who doesn't know what the hell's going on. So I'm not leaving. So I said,
it's literally split. Like while you're there, you have all this, you have an understanding of what's going on. Wow.
Yeah, dude, it's so screwed up. Okay. It's so screwed. And dude, like the trauma of waking up to it 20 years later too. There's trauma there. You're like, what the hell?
No, I know.
Fought for myself is like the most craziest thing to wake up to. But
wow.
Yeah, it's screwed up.
No, so, I've heard you say this before, but it just like dawned on me. So every time and so when you came back, were you like, did you know that you forgot? Like, are you unaware?
Imprints. Yeah, subconscious imprints that something was going on, but you don't. It's
which
impossible.
Seeps out, right?
Yeah. Just the subconscious layering. Something you have like disturbia, and then you can't rectify something, but it's impossible to put together. You can never know the relationship. You can never know. It's impossible. By the time you're in 12 contact events in, to understand it, you have to understand the first. And of course, I'm 20 years old. It's impossible to put it all together. So you're just living in the mystery of it. And so yeah, basically, I refused to leave the craft. And I said, I refuse to go. I don't want to go. I don't want to go back. And I'm like, basically like kind of panicking in my telepathy. And she does this most insane thing. So when you're in telepathy with them, they envelop you, right? So you have trouble seeing them sometimes because it's this kind of like psychic intensity where you're in this environment with them. She retracted. So she like pulls all her energy in, and I see her face with the utmost clarity. Like the memory of her face is nuts, and her like skin texture and everything. And she basically yells, and in a telepathy, she yells and she slaps me. So she slaps me. Yeah, basically like a nanny or like a granny would like.
Oh, okay. Listen, get with it.
It's like get off the ship is what it is, like this. But me, when you're in that environment and she does it, it's terrifying, man. It's terrifying as hell. Especially because they can do the stuff without moving anything, right? They don't move their arms. So she basically slapped me it was like a psychic slap, and I was like immediately terrified. And it got combined in my subconscious with the biological event that happened. So I was really like, oh my God, it got like a disturbia got put into me at that moment. And I know now years later, they were like, oh no, like what happened? Like, oh God, like they were not, like it was unexpected what happened, and they were trying to manage things. And yeah, it's totally nuts. That's the most traumatic thing that happened is the kind of fight that occurred. And I left, of course, right? I was terrified, and I just left. And then I got sent back down, and then I walked off the craft, and then the whole thing gets taken out, right? Or erased or phased out or whatever it is. So
yeah, I feel like that would be the equivalent of I'm deathly afraid of heights. I'm being pushed out. Like I feel like you're being pushed out in a parachute, like
this landed, the craft landed. Yeah. So I wasn't thrown down. Yeah. I was in a craft and it landed.
Yeah.
That was better. Yeah.
It probably felt like that though, having to leave and then not, I mean, like probably like, oh my gosh, I finally all these answers, all these, and just to go back where we have such fractal pieces,
Oh, it was awful. And that's the part that largely because my life was spinning out of control so now I presently say my oversoul was involved. This is actually a larger spiritual event, but at the time I had no conception of it. So I'm blaming them in my head. I'm saying, you did this to me. Why aren't you making it easier for me that I'm like traveling and being lost and confused now? Why aren't you helping me? And they're like, no, we don't help you in this. You have to figure it out for yourself. And I'm confused by that process. And so I'm blaming them kind of in the moment by saying, you should be helping me. I didn't say it like that, but that's my thought process. And so it's impossible.
Have a long, lengthy answers about anything or explanations. It's very, short and concise. And it's like, I got that same thing too.
Yeah, detached. Yeah, you got it. They can alter your life, and then they can be detached from it all. And in the moment, for it, and in the end,
it's your turn down there now, Jeff. It's not mine anymore. You have at it. Yeah,
it's something like that. Yeah. Yeah. But by the way, no one can use this content for saying how evil gray aliens are, because I grew from it. I agreed to it. I admit all that stuff. I don't want to see how evil they are. Yes. They're not evil. And it's just the fact that they're on the oversoul level. They're on the level with which humans make choices to birth into existence. and that's the level they're on.
Absolutely.
And so these contact events are intertwined with choices I made on larger scales. And they were aware of that, and I wasn't, because I was 20 years old. So that's why that happened the way it did.
I gave consent when I saw the crafts before I did. With ET, you have to ask them. They don't come down and ask you. Like you and I felt like mine was almost like a training process. Started with the short grays, tall grays, and then ones that look like more like you and I, like, you know, in different levels. They all served a very different purpose in the process of it. But I didn't have, and I heard you explain this before. And I don't know if it was like on whose show it was, but I was listening because I love, even when you have it on the show, I love listening to your stuff. And you're like, when you go into the doctor, this is paraphrasing it, and you can correct me, whatever. You're like, not always, do you know, like maybe you broke your arm and you don't want to have surgery. You don't like to have surgery, but maybe that surgery is necessary so you can use your arm again. Like some of the stuff I felt like your explanation for, and it made sense because medically, I had disc replacement surgery. I know I've told you this before. But for those of you who don't know, before my contact event, I lost my whole right side. I couldn't hold a pen. I had to learn how to walk again, sign my name, eat, hold a spoon. I mean, crazy stuff. Yeah. And the curve was not supposed to get any better. And it wasn't until that ET intervention. And it was like within that year and every contact event, I was stronger. I am stronger than I've ever been. I have feeling restored. I have that, and they said like that curve, like after fusion, like this is going out like 2.5 years that I was not, and still like they couldn't figure out what the hell. There's so many things wrong with me. And now I'm, like I said, I'm in the best shape I've ever been. So if it weren't for that, so I relate to a lot of what you said. Is that kind of an explanation you could give, or that you would give, or I can't remember how exactly you worded it, but that's how I took it.
Yeah, no, I mean, so I'm part of, Preston Dennett's Facebook group, The Healing Power of UFOs. And an interesting point gets brought up, so Bud Hopkins, who was kind of more of the negative guy, did know actually about the healing capacities of alien contact, that they could actually heal people. And the question was, why didn't he talk about it more? Because he went down the avenue of talking about aliens as being evil, or, darker or nefarious at least. And the answer turned out to be because he didn't understand why some people got healings and some people didn't get healings. So he was confused. That's
another thing too, though. People who didn't get healed, there's some resentment there. They're like, I needed a healing. But it might not be what you needed for your mission, or for, it's something not always. Yeah.
And you can see even with yourself how maybe, the worst part here is that if I've had people try to email me and try to get my aliens to help heal them. And I'm like, it doesn't work that way. And I don't even get healed from that. So they want me to figure out how to do it myself, is actually what they want. But yeah, you can see maybe for yourself how that maybe led you down the path that you're in right now. And it looks like it could be, oversoul agreement in some way, right? So that's very powerful and very beautiful and stunning and amazing all at the same time. But some people don't get it because I guess it's just part of their path, and I don't have answers to that. Yeah, I can only assume that's the way. For me, that's how they interact. I always like to kind of frame it. For me, it is kind of the grander picture about oversoul interaction, and so life purpose interaction, and what's the right thing for that person type of interaction.
Yes, and it's a trade-off. It's not. It's reciprocal. It's always you're right. It's always a trade-off.
Yeah, always is. Yeah, even it's no accident for me, Coley, that you have a podcast, right? So you had this contact, and then you're pretty determined to be public. And I find most of the experiencer podcasts are like that, where something happened and now you're kind of led to talk publicly about it, and you support the community by doing so. And the aliens are aware of all that. And for them, that's kind of an exchange, right? That's how I see it. things.
They told me when I asked, I was like, what is this all about? Why am I, I can't remember the exact words. They said, you're here for communication. And that's why I would go everywhere. And I'd go and everybody be like, who knew me, like, cringe. Do you have to ask? I said, yeah, I do. Because I thought once I communicated whatever it was I needed to communicate, because they don't give you, it wasn't like you're here to communicate this with so-and-so. No, you're here for communication.
Yeah.
Jeff, if you had told me I'd be in front of him, I hated even publicly speaking.
Right.
I don't even barely passed speech class. I was up there, I'd shake so bad. I would and so I can't believe that I'm actually here. So when they said that, I was like what? Like, what do they, so I kind of laughed at some of it at first thinking there's no way. But it really has. And I found, I guess, my way, because I enjoy talking to people. And my account is like, my trade-off is I get to ask people like you, and I get to, my questions firsthand.
Yeah.
How fortunate am I? Like, if you're going to go through something, you might as well be in this place where you can ask your questions and get this information and hear it first person.
Yeah.
Which is phenomenal.
Yeah. And well, you do a good job too. And by the way, too, it's personal to yourself. So you control the whole thing, which is really cool, actually. And
right?
get out. Yeah. So it's your show. You get to run it the way you want. And I think it's pretty cool. So I think it's good.
No, it is cool, but you're right. At first, it looks like I didn't see myself going, and I fought it too. I was like, oh, I don't want to go on. I'm going to do a podcast. I've always kind of been a part of podcasts, I remember going back when the first one, you could call in on the phone. I said we could sit in our pajamas, and nobody knew if our hair was done or not. Now it's all like, now you're right out in video, and everybody can watch every move you're making. And so It's a different feel to it. It wasn't so bad, sitting on that phone line where maybe like a picture of you would go up or anything.
Yeah.
But, over time, obviously you get used to it, but I'm very fortunate, and I don't ever take it for granted. And I love the fact too, connecting people and all of this. And I think that what you're doing such amazing work. And I have to say, and I like, we can talk about it from behind the scenes, but there was an instance where something kind of traumatizing had happened to me, and I wasn't able to make a show. And you had picked up on, like, you sent me this email, and I was so blown away. And I was like, oh my God, you were able to tap into some of what was going on with me. And then without me even saying anything to you, you had said a few things to me, and I was like, wow, Jeff, that's phenomenal. Like, you're dead on. And I don't know how much I talked about it at the time, and I'd love to tell you more about it now, but yeah, you were able to, I just remember how you tuned in. I told people this before. I said, Jeff somehow tuned into the situation that was happening. It was so chaotic, and I have no idea. Some of the things that you had said had just nailed it. And it wasn't even anything that I had. Yeah, it was.
I think I remember.
I don't remember. Yeah.
I do remember this, Coley. You got it. That's great. Well, I'm happy. Yeah. I can pick these things up sometimes, but
yes, it was a good validation. It's how phenomenal you are.
Pretty bizarre. It's a weird relationship I have with contactees. I don't it's not like I could do this with strangers too. I don't understand it. I can pick up other contactees sometimes, and I've had some, so I'm happy that helped and was connecting. That's great.
Yeah, it was, because, I said, as much of it, sometimes you do feel alone in these situations, and it was an extreme situation, and it had to do directly with something with the show and something that had happened to other people in the community. And it's unfortunately, it's a case that's in the federal courts right now. And when I'm able to talk about it, I will. But it was something that people really need awareness about, but you hit and you tuned right into it. And I was like, wow, I always it always had, just felt such a bond with you after that. And it's like,
awesome.
Man, because then, without a shadow of a doubt, it was that wasn't even just confirmation. That was the way that you had reached out and the concern, it was just it really showed me, more people, we need more people like you in the community. We really do. You've got such a balance. You are level-headed. You are so level-headed in so many ways. Yeah. And just to, hear that you came through all of this stuff too is so important. And then your take on all of it is just so many people can relate to you. Awesome. And that's amazing.
Awesome. Thanks, Coley. Yeah, it's great. Well, I'm just so happy that, that's what it's there for. That's what the connection is there for. So I'm happy that in that moment you felt it. So that's great. Great to hear.
Did they tell you what your mission was here?
Write the book. Yeah, that was the thing. Write the book. They told me 2016, I had a contact event. They told me, tell them we're coming and there'll be a city, and write a book, basically. And they wanted me to write out, well, specifically, they wanted me to make it a spiritual book. They actually asked for that. Make it a spiritual book and talk about the things we did with you. And then they actually even implied, like, teach the things, like they wanted the teaching element too. Teach the things with which, well, we talked, like you went through us with us. So yeah, that's kind of, in my own way, I've done that through the workbook and through the YouTube videos. I try to keep it real because I think there's that level-headed part, because I think that there's a tendency in the UFO community to frown on that. And so I kind of play a bit of a balancing act with that, where I don't get too overly teachy. But I definitely have a lot of stuff available online around consciousness and my own experiences and my own research, and how to do some things like meditate. I have several meditation videos and that type of thing. And and I actually plan to do, it's funny you're talking about it. I actually plan to, I'm building it right now, transforming our traumas, right? I think is a really, especially for all of us, man, with what's about to happen, we have to transform our traumas. We have to get out of our traumas. Never mind alien contact, just traumas in general. And so I have a video coming out like that. That's the type of stuff I'm focused on.
We need that, because people don't realize that the way through this, and especially I'm going to tell you as a mental health therapist, pull that one out, that the way through this and the only way through this is through trauma. And if you're going to do it, you're going to face every uncomfortable moment.
Shadows in the background. Yeah, you got it.
Oh yeah, it's gonna all come to surface, and you're gonna find a way. But that's needed. And I felt, my work as a mental health therapist, and if you ever want collaboration on, let me know. I was very, very good at what I did. I worked under Dr. Daniel Hughes, Vedic developmental psychotherapy. And basically it was like that attachment theory and how you heal it. But it's so much of it. I feel like the therapists that I work with, there were just a small portion of them, let's just say, that really did the work, that knew what they were talking about, that ran by a theory, that ran. The other ones are just sitting in there like, having a conversation, an overpriced conversation.
Right.
And I just remember in my outpatient setting, like my coworkers would sit there and I'd be like, man, this is such a disservice to people. But to actually have that, and to have somebody and have it geared towards this type of contact, because I don't think I could go into like a mainstream therapist and be like, oh yeah, like, and even, I mean, they might know the scenario, but if I had to go and actually really talk about some of the details of it, I don't think I don't know.
You mean our content, like alien content?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, there's no, I think I tried to once. I was in some, I don't know what I did. It was in my 20s, and it was, something was free, and I needed, it was like about a relationship scenario I was in. And I mentioned the consciousness event, and she said, well, had you done drugs at the time? And I was like, well, like, I guess I'd smoked pot. And they're like, well, that could be it. And so for her, it was all drug induced. And I was like, no, dude, that wasn't, that's not what that was. Yeah, no. And so for her, she couldn't even imagine that something like consciousness was expanded in any way, right?
Again. Yeah, he's on another bender, a pot bender. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's impossible to get around it. Yeah, no, it's impossible. I think psychotherapy would just have to, even the way to integrate this into something about human consciousness expansion. I mean, hypnotherapist is I think the best. The hypnotherapist I went to understood past life awareness, understood near-death experiences. Yeah. And then she kind of had an ability to be a therapist within that. So hypnotherapist,
transpersonal psychology, I think they're a little bit more in touch with that side.
That's right. Yeah. Transpersonal psychology is, you got it. And that's it, because you need to have an awareness of the expansion of consciousness. And even something like, finding a past life awareness that's traumatizing is real trauma. And unless you believe in that, you can't really approach that. So yeah, it's very icky right now.
It is too. And there's not a lot. I said, even with a hypnotherapist, I don't like that I don't know, like if it's with all mediums, but I do know, like, I have a susceptibility. If I go under hypnosis, it can happen like quick. Like I've never seen anything like it. I've caught myself up on stage, you know, and I was like, man, if I do this again, I'm like glutting for punishment. It was so embarrassing. But at that point, I realized I was like, I want my own memories. And even though I'm like, you know, they're really jagged and pieced, I really found once I got out of that sense of urgency, like that Godspeed, somebody's got to hear me. I've got this, you know, like I'm going to hand you this information and I'm going back to my normal life type of deal. You know, it's like I can always tell a new experiencer, they'll contact me. I've got this information, and they are, you know, that you can just sense that sense of urgency that they're coming from. And I'm like, oh, they'll get used to it. You'll get used to that. The patience will come in time, because it really is like, I mean, in the beginning, it's like you're seeing stuff and you can't even believe it. And then to realize that there's so many others out there is just, and then, I don't know. Sometimes it's like, even when I was talking to Mufan, I know this is a little bit jagged, but I'll pull it back around. There's not a handbook that says, okay, part 2. I feel like they walk me through the ET. Oh, now you saw UFO. This is great. You know, now I got the tour, which I asked for. And then I got the tour, and then I'm calling them and they're like, I said, now what? You know, and they're like, we don't know. And I'm like, what do you mean you don't know? Like, well, send me the second handbook or something. You know, can you flip a few pages here? Like, he's like, did the veil lift? And I was like, oh boy. Right. You didn't tell me this before, Mufan. You did not tell me this, Mufan Dave, that I was going to be on my own once I got aboard, you know, where I thought there'd be protocol. Yeah. And that is missing, I think, as well. You should take both of those on. You'd be a great person to do that.
Well, see, the phenomenon is very bizarre. It's very interesting. So it doesn't really seem to follow a pattern. I mean, it has a relative pattern. There's a pattern, but it's not consistent enough. And it's very weird. It's a very weird game. But here's another twist to the game, right? So, okay, this happened to you, and you had a personal processing you had to deal with that you couldn't rely on anybody else. Really, you couldn't really rely on anybody else. Generally, you could. You could say, okay, Ed was there, Earl was there, and you had the capacity to talk about it with someone. But in general, no one could ever process for you how it altered and changed your world. And that's a really weird part of this. But here's what's really neat is that, well, you did, right? You did process it, and you are processing it. And when you think about the type of people contact happens to, right? You never hear about the psychopath who had contact.
that's
right?
That's true, right?
Oh, you never hear about, like, there is a weird game about how much they might reveal to someone or how much they might interact with someone who maybe has the capacity over time to eventually digest it, and possibly on their own. Because in the end of the day, there is a real game of isolation that goes on with contact that we all seem to go through. And even the people I'm interacting with who are contactees, who might have similar amount of contact as me, we do not get on the same page. It's very weird. It's a very weird game, alien contact. And I think of the phenomenon as kind of being a bit more diverse than we think it is. And it's interacting with our psyches very personally, very subjectively. And so you have a type of contact and I have a type of contact. And in the end of the day, what's always guiding us is like an intuitive process. Mm-hmm. Like, are you saying the right words that trigger someone else? Right. But it's not like, it's not a logical process. It's not a logical book that will be the guidebook on how to handle contact, because in the end, it will be a personal for every single person. Yeah. So it's a different game. It's actually much more of a, maybe metaphorical game, maybe an archetypal type game, storytelling. It's way less of a logical process. No, and humans are extremely logical. So we're kind of lost. We kind of don't know how to handle the information. And if you think about it, in the end of the day, it kind of seems like the phenomenon is the one who's guiding it. So I keep hearing about someone saying, I had this question, and then your video came up in my feed. Or I had one case where a video was I released the video, and the person said the alien was in their house, and they were freaked out. And then they looked for whatever reason, they looked at their phone, and my video came up on their notification. And then the alien was gone. And so they assumed it had something to do with the video. So, and Whitley Strieber's book initiated my contact. So it seems to be a weird way that this is all being managed and handled. It's very bizarre.
It is bizarre. I think that would be a great way of putting it. Like, this is tailored and individual, unique to the person, but yet there are these, let's say, phases or parts of this journey that are so similar. And it's like, even I remember having Andrew Rollins. I hope he pops into chat here. There was him and there was one other person. And this is in the beginning, like, I mean, YouTube, I think I was just putting videos up and I had like 10 subscribers that stumbled upon these like crazy, cell phone videos from 2017. And so we had kind of built the support group. And so when it would happen, there was like, we kind of get like these flu-like symptoms. For me, I was like, for like 3 days, I just needed to break away from the entire world and I needed to process it. I couldn't, and it just was interacting was like I just needed that time. And once then I was okay. But I just remember the group, and when I go through and Andrew would send me and they was like they knew, like they got it, it was may have been different for all of us, but we kind of got each other and how that would feel.
Yeah. When it comes to that type of content, I always refer people to the Experiencer Forum, which I feel on Reddit, which is so the Experiencer Forum on Reddit is just great for it, kind of regardless of what your experience is. You can put it out and then they'll weed out it's public, but they'll weed out, the naysayers or the trolls. And so they do a good job at filtering it out. So then you can actually have a discussion even about vulnerable content, and which is highly unique. And then otherwise, there are support groups and there are meetup groups, and occasionally people reach out to me to have, where they can find these types of things. I don't think I could ever leave that. My whole purpose is this content. I'm always happy to, I talk to people all the time though. That's the one I'll Zoom with people reach out to me, and I always want to be learning about experiencers and what they've gone through and that. So I can always be talked to like that, but
I can't do the support group. I always say Eric Mitchell does that. He's good at that. Like somebody else I know that does it, there's one on Facebook. Yeah. Yep. That's exactly it. I can't, it's just not my thing, but it's
not my thing either. Yeah. Yeah. I like helping people in a kind of a way. Actually, the truth is too, I'm super, maybe like you, I'm super empathic. So I can feel people's pain sometimes if I'm getting too close to them. And so, I need to keep that distance just for my own psychic sanity. So or psyche sanity, not psychic, but psyche sanity. So I need to do that kind of stuff. I can feel people reading my book. It's totally nuts.
Wild.
I felt you thinking about me to ask me this, and I could feel you.
Yeah, that was right. I forgot. And you're like,
before you sent the email, 2 days before, I could feel you, and I wasn't clear it was you. I wasn't thinking Coley, but blonde hair. I saw your image. And
I had been thinking about you for about a week, and I was like, I have to reach out. And you would pop in my head. I was like, I have to reach out to Jeff, and I can't remember what I had thought. I'm like, oh, this probably is a connection, because I had gone back through and was looking through, and I was like, man, some of the stuff, and I was like, you really are intuitive. Yeah. And I just, as an experience, I was sitting there, I was just like, man, we need more people. Cause even though we might not have like that handbook, like they did in Beetlejuice or anything for the next level, the confidence that you have in it is reassuring to me even.
Yeah, that's good. And that's the spiritual background. That's the Sadguru. That's when you're with a guru, it's real. You know what's real and what's not. And that training is what you're picking up on. Because the stuff I've seen with my own eyes and his abilities have confirmed for me what's real within my own sphere. And that's years and years of that. So that's
what
great.
Was that like? I mean, what was it? I've known people who've gone with the yogis or traveled around with the gurus, and they always talk about how, just some of the different abilities that they have are amazing.
Yeah. My guru is bilocated. So he was somewhere else and then he visited me. And it was exactly like it would be with the aliens. Dude, this is the crazy part, is that the aliens act like my guru. So he's just like the aliens. They don't always tell you things straight. And when you ask a question, they they're metaphorical about something, and they won't really give it to you straight. Like, it's a bizarre crossing of behavior. And for anyone who has a guru, there's like similar ways gurus handle each other, or handle themselves. The aliens are like that. It's like there is a deva level. And then once you get to that deva level, it manifests kind of very similarly. And so the elder,
like, here you go. Now you take it and you take it on your journey and apply it to the world,
you got it. It's not straightforward. You can get frustrated for, why isn't there something logical going on here? And the gurus are exactly the same way. The aliens are behaving illogically, and then it baffles your brain, and you have to release to the intuition. The gurus are exactly how they operate. They are not logical at all. And they'll do things anti-logically, actually. They'll baffle you with, okay, I'm going to learn something today, and it'll be this, this, and this. And then he teaches you something very random that at the moment you think is not tied to it. And then you end up having an epiphany 2 days later, how it was all intertwined. It's a kind of a weird game, what happens with gurus. Yeah. And it's powerful.
It does sound like ET, but yeah, it's like, it might be a year down the road. I'm like, aha, that's what they, okay,
Right.
But, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it is I love the teachings, and it intertwines with UFO consciousness. Or alien consciousness. So simply. And it's clear to me that, as bizarre and weird and sometimes disturbing the alien stuff is, it's originating from a God field, or a non-dual field. And that's just the same space that the gurus are in. So.
Well, that's fascinating. That is fascinating.
Yeah.
I just anybody who's gone down that road and then done that kind of work is just, that had to have been a lot of healing. A lot of work, a lot of growing pains, and those growing pains are real,
Well, it's the double whammy, because I had unconscious alien contact. So yeah, I had like my own discordance at times, right? And you're forgetting. So when I left traveling, I was, I told you this, we talked about this in the beginning. I was fighting myself to some degree, because I wanted to be normal. I didn't want any of that weirdness in my life. But, I experienced the height of my consciousness at the peak of it. So in some way, I was kind of like fighting against myself. Right. And then you come to a guru with that. And so there was like discordance in me, and I didn't know how to manage it. And I didn't have the understanding about what had happened to me. So then I just went right to music. So I got into like my, it was my 20s. So I got into my metal music at the time, and punk rock and all that stuff, while having a guru.
I can't envision you though in metal. I've heard you say this before. Like, I just to get the whole like 80s thing going on, or what?
Not 80s, but I'm a Gen X hipster. I was a hipster at the time. I was a hipster, yeah. So it was the metric era in Toronto. So metric and chaos and it was like kind of some punk rock was coming out, but it was more hipster, I don't know, and some electro was coming out at the same time, and yeah, it was just fun stuff. But that's how I managed that discordance at the time. So I did have discordance, and eventually all of that has to come to light when all the alien contact came out, and when it did, all that discordance made sense, and my own personal struggles made sense, and yeah, it's a lot of fighting, internal fighting, and then a lot of healing at the same time. So yeah, you got it.
Yeah, it's like all bundled into one little packet. You're going to fight yourself. You're going to fight the change, and then you're going to digest it and accept it. And sometimes wish it didn't happen, but you're going to, repeat.
Yeah. And then it's just, the reality is that I have a guru in my life, and that's magical. And then the aliens are in my life presently, right? The way they kind of still hang out. So like, it's all worth it. Like, there's no, again, the anti-gray alien person could say, well, they caused you all this pain and struggle all your life. And it kind of is true, but it's still for the reasons that are powerful, because I saw my oversoul. I saw the afterlife. So those are real things that are very true for me. And
did you get hit a lot on the gray aliens? Did you get like, where people, because I noticed you're defending it. When I say it, I like I said, that I don't think that I think it was an equal trade off. If anything, I got the more of the benefits than anything. But I've heard people say that, and I don't, necessarily understand, because I kind of went under the attack too from it, like the grays. And I'm like, we don't all know. Like, we don't all know. There's a spectrum. There's a spectrum of people. I'm
You have
not
no
doubting,
idea.
Right.
I have
But I
been-
didn't have that either.
I have been, since day one, I have been trolled for gray aliens. Yeah. And it's because there are some, non-real people out there who claim to be real, who've persuaded the public into what's going on here, that they think they understand. I won't name names, but then they've, convinced the people in local UFO groups. And so, within the first 2 weeks I ever went public, I got a phone call, and the phone call was from someone trying to convince me that they were, they're abusers. Gray aliens are abusers, so you probably shouldn't be talking about them.
Oh yeah,
because and this is the stuff I got.
And they're like, "Would you do that?" Like, I'm like, I don't have Stockholm syndrome. Okay, I do not.
You get that too. Yeah, and on my YouTube channel, I am constantly dealing with people who think, oh, well, these are tied with lizards and they're evil, so you should, why are you spreading this? Like, it's just nonstop. Like, it's, it's just nonstop. But here's the thing.
They did to me on Twitter. Speaking of that, they took, somehow got a hold of a MRI that I had, and I have this weird thing in my brain. It's been there since I was a kid. Anyway, they took it and they put a little picture of an alien in there. And, this sounds so stupid, but there's people in the community that will believe this. And there's like 11,000 hits on it. And it says that I have a reptilian in my brain. And I was like, oh, come on now.
That's it?
Why did they
my favorite thing is just going with it is like, yes, people, I have a dinosaur in my brain, I guess. Actually, we all do. I forget the name of the lizard part of our brain, right? It's actually a lizard. But anyway, just a joke, because someone tried to do that with me where they kind of attacked something I had said. And I was like, I love it. Bring it on. And I started like making fun of them for it, because you actually need a brain to interact with the phenomenon. You need to like think this through is what you need to do. And most people want to, but you have the percentage who saw something on the internet. Now they understand the phenomenon. They understand what you're all about, and they're attacking you. And most people need to think this stuff through. And there's a lot of evidence for the perspectives we have. There's tons of evidence for the perspectives we have. And that will shatter their negative perspectives, but it doesn't seem to matter for some people. They prefer to be a victim. They prefer to blame something, gray aliens are controllers of the government or something. So yeah, it's like nonstop. You kind of are always dealing with it. So you're right.
I know. One thing or another. The more, I don't know why. Sometimes I do, but it's like the more it's like you think you're doing such a service in the community by getting the information out there. All I try and do is put my guests and people that I believe in front of the largest audience possible. And for some reason, that irritates the hell out of certain people, and then they come in the attack. I said, I'm not your competition.
Yeah, the anonymity of the
stronger
internet.
Together. We're stronger. The big, this is what helps. Like, oh God.
Yeah, it's anonymity. The way you can just troll and then be like very cold and callous in your trolling. It's such a, the internet is such an. It's like the best of humans and then the worst of humans at the same time. It's like so, sometimes I like keeping those trolls up, or like the comments, so people see what we deal with. And, and I also like, eventually, I like engaging with debates. I actually enjoy the debate sometimes too. So
if you can find one that's not out to, there's a certain, and I love X. We're streaming on X, but there are about 15 of you right now that are on my last nerve, like with stuff that you're doing, and you are, and it's like, you could sneeze and they're on it. And you if I go to, it's like, I feel like if I even go to type a letter in a post, they're on it. And they're just like, and it's like, man, if you're this triggered, this is your human programming, and you're glitching out, people. Like you're literally glitching out. And if you were my neighborhood,
is disconnecting. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. I didn't even think about like I'm gonna use stuff like that. But if you were in my neighborhood, or you were anywhere nearby and you were acting like this, you would have like a restraining order on you or something. You're actually off the charts.
I try to connect with people, because the less anonymous it is, the more that they start humanizing up. several times I said, hey, reach out to me. Come on, bring it on. Because I'm actually okay with, a private conversation on the internet. We can Zoom together. I want to learn who you are if you've got this bad perspective. And they always drop off when you realize that you're trying to get that.
Oh, maybe
I don't think you should do that, but
that might be a better tactic.
I like to,
I'm like, oh, if I never see you again on this entire planet, I'll be okay. But maybe I should be like, hey, why don't you come on a Zoom call and we'll have a civil conversation.
Yeah. X is different though too.
Not scratch, No, they were total. I couldn't even believe it. I could not even believe it. And I mean, just to see it all happen, I'm like, didn't you learn anything the last 5 years when you're told you can't have information out, or you can't? If I choose to cover whatever story I choose to cover, I have integrity. I don't do it unless I feel that there's value to it. And it's like, if doing that, just putting that information out there, it didn't harm them. It didn't harm anybody else. So why? Why are you so hell-bent on this never coming to light? And it's just like their obsession. I was like, man, I wish I had all that time on my hands.
Not robots too, right? There's a whole thing here where they're bots now. They're chat bots, especially on X. So,
these are, unfortunately, they're human, unfortunately. If they're bots, I feel like that. Oh yeah, but no, these are the human kind, the ones that have 24/7 of just monitoring when you do what you do. And I guess it is flattery at best, but it's a part of it. It's like you do, and once you get more of a following, and and X, it's like, unfortunately, I never wanted to be that numbers person. But if you have numbers, then you're able to talk to more people and you're able to connect more people. And if you've been doing it long enough, it's like, I remember sitting there with 5 subscribers and I was trying to ask the same questions and nobody would answer me. Nobody would answer me. I was like, well, I guess I need subscribers to get answers here. And so that was, where it all started. But it is, but together, if we pool and we connect with one another and we get the real people, like the Jeffs in there, not the ones that are stealing Jeff's stories, not just yours, Jeff, but I've had mine taken, a whole community. I know, I'm sure you've had. I haven't even asked you if you've had your story stolen. I've just assumed you had, because it's just a part of the process. I
think my stories, I love it. I was concerned for that at first, but I'm actually convinced it's too baffling. And which is so cool, because it's actually really hard to steal my story, because you have to say you saw the afterlife, and then you have to act like you saw the afterlife, and then how the rising occurred. You have to have and what really is the rising is, I'm public about it, but it's baffling for most people. So
they can't answer the questions. That's smart.
Yeah, it's really challenging unless you've actually had the experience. So I think I was concerned for that at first. I thought I could intuitively feel that someone was going to try and steal my story. It's kind of interesting you say that. And I knew I needed to put the book out fast so no one would steal it. So it would be official. That was mine. Right. Yeah.
Cause you're right though. The rising, when I was actually, I had pulled it up in the beginning on what it means and all the meaning behind it. And you're right. There are many layers to it. And I was so I tried to be a little cryptic in the show title today, but that's so true. I was like, wow, this makes sense. And, going on that consciousness. So it's, well done with that. I mean,
thanks, dude.
That was done really well. So is there going to be, you said that you're kind of going into, and I know you don't want to be the support group, but have you ever thought about collecting some of the data and maybe I have all 3 surveys from the Roper poll, from the Star MUFON team, and what the government, the third one, I think was a NIDS one, what they're looking for in experiencers.
The free research, I have that. That's my favorite because it's 3,000 people, but gray aliens are not negative in those polls. And there's that. I've considered it, actually. It's funny you mentioned that. There are some statistics, some things that I would suggest people, researchers, look into when dealing with experiencers. There are some prime things that I think they missed. Yeah. But they've done a good job. So, you build off of it. So they've done a good job at laying some amazing groundwork. But now, as an experiencer who has a lot of his memories, there's definitely some things that you could be asking that are more specific. So I've considered it. I looked into working with some people on it, but you have to get bodies involved and everybody's not always on the same page. And yeah, I've considered going down that avenue. I've just let fate, quote unquote, or the universe, if you will, help guide the direction. And I just keep talking about my content. I have a new video series I'm about to put out soon. So on my YouTube channel, I just keep focusing on that. And I'm still learning about what happened to me. And there's a lot to digest about it still. And so I keep focus. That's the focus I keep, is doing that until something else comes in my face and someone wants to work on something. But that's a good and I've got some friends out there we hum and haw about ideas. And but it takes a lot, because a lot of people have to be involved. And especially with the experiencer phenomenon, you need specific people. And sometimes you're not finding the right person to work with. So, yeah.
Well, if I could ever help, I would hand over the surveys and whatever I have, like, to you, if there's anything you can do with it. Yeah, it really is. Like, I spent a long time gathering it, but what happened, and I had it to the point of where I could have had it all set up. But of course, someone came in and sabotaged it. That did not want that data out. But I feel like now might be a little bit different in the echelon of things. But there's certain information. It's like people don't realize, like, there are certain people in this community, they want all that information and they don't want to share it. And what I feel like is, as an experiencer, especially as an experiencer, why do you get to withhold that information from me? Like, why do you that irritates me.
It's because they made their living off. I mean, for some people, I can't speak for some, but they made their living off of it, and now that's like book material for them, right? Or it's YouTube material that drives their views, and it should be just publicly available data. I actually totally agree. There's a very maniacal kind of scene to this, where what was once open and public experiencer content is now being hid behind closed doors. Yeah. There's really bizarre things like that. Another thing that, like, I scoured the UFO BC database. Like, that was my way of doing research about my local area. And I was doing it because I was drawing information to make a video series about what had happened to me regarding the geographical locations. And it turned out there was tons of corroboration. But what was really interesting is scouring that data was that you have people out there saying gray aliens are evil, or some evil aliens are bad, or some are demons. You have like zero. I had one case of an alien, it was following a human. Let's say it's following the car. I guess the car was being chased, but one out of the hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of cases of UFO sightings. So you don't have UFOs behaving the way with which some people want to claim the aliens are behaving. You have these like weird juxtapositions in the data. And if only they knew that data was saying that, because the information is available, but no one is sifting through it properly or having a way to explain this to the public. So yeah, there's a really weird disconnect with some of the data going on here that it doesn't make. I mean, it makes sense because I think it's overwhelming and people don't know how to read the signs in the data too. So yeah, but there's a really weird game going on. When I first went public, MUFON had no interest, right? You're like kind of like that. And I had videos of UFOs, and first I took a picture of a UFO, and MUFON didn't do anything about it. I eventually only learned that pretty recently there's only one person here in the entire province who does on the ground research for.
Gosh, MUFON,
so limited anyway as it is.
Crazy sometimes.
And then the other was I took a video of these orbs, and they were pretty good videos. And then I gave them to the UFO the database. Do you want to look at them? And the guy said something really strange to me. He said, "Well, it looks like you filmed them through a window, so I don't know what they are." Like, they're not filmed through a window. You can hear whispers. He did no research on it, and I would even learn they have several sightings of orbs, red orbs, the same red orbs. So the guy he had it in his database, didn't tell me, and tried to brush off my own. Like, you'd think if you were collecting a database of stuff, you would be saying, "Hey, buddy, that's like my stuff. I got this stuff here." And yeah, instead it was like he was trying to get rid of me. It was like a really weird game. Like the whole way people are treated is so bizarre.
Oh, I was so mad. And then mine even came back after. Come to find out, he had never seen a UFO. MUFON Dave did not, and he was colorblind. And then the guy that was analyzing the videos was his buddy, and I don't think he was qualified to analyze the videos. So he and my brother got it. My brother was so defeated by it, and I was like, "Forget this. Eric. I was like, just like, and it came, and then he came back after and he's like, oh, I guess the red orbs you saw were not Chinese lanterns because they went from this period of time and they moved like this. And then he's like, and we think that this, and I was like, well, what the heck, we think what? So it does, it kind of, when you realize it. And then I had somebody from the STAR team call and they didn't stop calling. I mean, they were calling like twice, 3 times a day. And I told them, I said, Dave, tell them to back off. Well, why is that they report it and it's a backdoor to the DOD and they're very openly like admitting they're the civilian part of the AARO. Yeah. And then, the feds went in a couple of years ago and shut their system down for 3 months. And then the national security, or they went through with who was it that went through? The Secret Service goes through, and nobody says a word about that and shut their system down for 3 months. Then it's like, okay, so if you reported to MUFON, I'm pretty sure your information's already at the government's like desk. Yeah. So
that's why I put it all out for free on my YouTube channel. I just do it myself and people can see for themselves. Yeah. You just do it yourself. You be your own investigator. And that's what I'm finding. I'm speaking on, podcasts or in groups, and other contactees are just doing what I'm doing. They're like, you have to become a self-investigator because you're not treated seriously enough. And then, you've got really important information. So you're the only one putting it out. And then it turns out people want to hear it, but that's it. You only got yourself. It's such a strange game. It's like really weird. I still haven't figured out exactly what's driving that. I have found some of the researchers' books. Jacques Vallée, I love Jacques Vallée, but he's got a quote right there in his book to not listen to experiencers. So John Mack in his book Abductions is confused by experiencers and doesn't know how to take them fully seriously. I've actually seen a Reddit post by a long-term, decades-long researcher saying, I can't take experiencers seriously. So you got this kind of weird problem going on here. Yeah, I know it's and maybe that's what's driving the general.
They're all NIDS though. Those are the black budget projects. Those are the Bigelows. Those are the ones that are doing. Maybe. Jacques Vallée, he was on the team. Everyone he'd said, and that's why. You know what, Jeff? Though this is what I have found out, and let's take it one step further because this was the most disturbing part. How many times have you been told the government doesn't care what you guys have to say? The government doesn't care about the civilian stuff. The government is doing their own military. The military people, the military. Okay, so I'm out there running my mouth like there's no repercussions for any of this. Well, AI has come in and now AI has transcribed everything that we have said, those experiencers. And according to Stephen Bassett, once this post-disclosure happens, there's a whole long list. And it turns out the government, they are now interested in no other than the civilians and what they have to say. And then now they want, and I was like, I want no part of that.
I think it's going to be different. All. Yeah, I'm certain it's going to be different. I'm certain that I think this whole thing is nuts. The position between full disclosure about what this actually all is versus what it is, I think this middle ground is we can't be scared of them is like kind of the big thing. And the government may have no power in making us not scared about it. And they themselves might be weirded out by them or something. And I'm pretty certain there's a lot at stake here. And I'm not clear that we'll get to a position where the government will start caring about experiencers before the government tells us exactly what's about to happen. And the aliens themselves start taking over or start doing something with which to facilitate something into a transition. Because that's what I'm pretty certain is about to happen is a transition. And
are you talking about 3 Eye Atlas?
No, I think that's a comment, but
what do you think the government's going to use, or do you think they're going to stage? I just keep going to the stage.
Yeah, well, that could. I actually have questioned if this whole Avi Loeb thing is all a social experiment because it's bizarre, man. It's bizarre how it's being handled. It's not bizarre that the's a comet coming through the solar system. It's bizarre how it's being handled. And that's what's
slowing
really
down. And now it's like
not just that. Oh, it's got rocket boosters now. I think Avi Loeb is the one who said that. It's like, what's wrong with this guy, man? Why is he saying that? Like,
communicating and sending signals and shut something down on the moon. I was like, oh, come on.
I know, dude, I took astronomy, and throughout all of history, humans have always assumed space operated one way, and then they would learn something new about space nonstop. Right from Galileo all the way to just decades ago, they used to think water was only on Earth, and now they realize water is everywhere on every body in the solar system. Now they understand, like, oh wow, life is actually much more easier to make. Now they realize planets are surrounding every star. They used to think all the stars were empty. Now, like, they just keep learning and learning because humans are dumb. We're kind of ape-like.
We just keep playing. I don't understand why people keep buying into it.
Yeah, we don't have the open-mindedness that we need to explore the space. So when we see an object flying into our solar system, we assume it's an alien first. Like, it's such a weird thing to jump to a conclusion. And you have to look at how that information how it started. And I point people to how bizarre it was that I won't mention names, but someone tweeted about it very early on before Avi Loeb did, and it's highly suspicious. And they said, why aren't more people panicking that this alien craft is coming into our solar system? And it might be here to, attack humans. It's like, and this person has a semi close to the government role. And I was like, why is that person saying that? And so it's just, the whole thing is dealt with suspiciously.
I think I know. Yes, I know. And I was like, oh gosh, I start itching over it. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
What's wrong? And people,
Yeah, I know. Well, it's, and yeah, I don't know. We can always, this conversation takes us down to the negative, and I don't really like that too. I mean, the negative, so how the aliens can be perceived. And I don't like that either. It's not,
I think
it's challenging is what it is.
Yeah. And I'm with you too. And I think that, people ask, like, they pose the question before. So if you go out and you see like 8, 9, 10 craft hovering outside your house, what are you going to do? And I'm like, thank them for coming. And I'm turning around and running in and calling everybody I know and to say, hey, be cool here. Like, it's okay to think about before you make any decisions, because it's, even if it's the government and their game and they're going to do this, it's going to come, and it's going to come quick. And if you look at, I encourage people who are even following this 3i Atlas, I always call it AI Atlas for a reason, but if you look into the Atlas system, and I'm not sure what but if you go in there, the AI Atlas system, it is a control system with AI, and I think that's what's probably more or less going to happen. But you don't have to panic. Okay? Yeah. Go put your head in the sand where it's been for like your eternal lifetime now, and just stay there until we tell you it's okay to come out. It's like, that's the stuff I worry about. Is like, I not necessarily, I don't like to go down to those negative places to get there, but for God's sakes, people don't overreact.
Oh, it's going to be, I don't think there's a way.
Gotta go and hide it.
They're going to do it. I think there's no way. The public isn't prepped fast enough. The public isn't prepped ahead of time enough, and I think that's going to be a problem. I'm certain there's a problem coming, and
there's a big one coming. I think
there's a big one coming. Yeah, and people needed to be prepped ahead of time. And I don't mean prepped as in, aliens are real. That's not the prepping. The prepping is that this is interdimensional. You're interdimensional. You can't handle it because you didn't know you were interdimensional, and this thing needs to be here, and you are not prepped to how to handle it being here. And then you might be terrified and want to kill it or shoot it or something. And and you might, and that can't happen. So then the aliens have to do things their own ways. And so I think it's like that. It's like a screwed up scenario.
The government never wastes like a perfect crisis opportunity. They will not let something like this go to waste.
Unfortunately, it looks to me the bunkers, right? Yeah, that's what it looks like. There's
and then I even hear, it's funny because like my cousin they don't even acknowledge really what I talk about on my show, even though they all know. She sends me a message. She's like, oh, my friend caught a picture of the 3i Atlas. And I was like, what? What are you talking about? And she's like, we're wondering what you think. And I was like, where are you getting pictures from? I guess now they're saying at a certain time it's visible. So people are running. I'm like, okay, now we got people I said, Alex, you tell your friend to go put that camera down and, go find a different, hobby, because this isn't going to end well. Like if now that they're calling and people are like, I've got people that would never even, they know what I do. They've never asked me a single question. Now all of a sudden it's, what do you think about this?
I know.
Atlas?
I get it too all the time. I get it all the time. Oh my God. I know. I also, as a social experiment, I also sometimes think that they're looking to see who is talking about it and who's not paying attention to it. Because I know the government is trying to weed out things, right? They put in false information into the UFO field. We know that. David Grush talked this way, right? They actually put in false information into the UFO field. So they try to see, they try to, you got it. That's just one name to mention. And then when you got that contactee who's modeling his information, then okay, that person don't listen to, right? Because the government knows that gray aliens or that entities are interacting with individuals like us, and then they need to figure out who's the real one, because they can't determine who's a liar and who's not, right? So they have to figure it out. So then they throw in false information. And then when that person starts parroting it, then they know that person's a false deal. So I'm convinced stuff like that
too. It's like, I just think of the amount of, if people saw how crazy I one time, just to put this all together and connect the groups and everything, I should find a picture.
What? It's my show now. Where'd you go? I think you're looking for a picture, Coley. I think so. I think that's where you went. Hey everybody, how's it going? Benno, buddy, thank you for the I wanted to thank you, Benno. I sent you a picture, buddy, of the sculptures.
Guess they didn't like when I said that. Yeah, just like shot me right out of there.
I was like, it's my show now. Woohoo.
I do the same thing when that's happened. I'll start going through the chat and I'm like, well, they see how long it takes them to get back on here.
Are they still there? I don't know if they're still there or not. Yeah.
That's funny. But to go through all this, like, I just remember I immersed myself. Like, I created a wall that I think I like modeled it off of something you would have seen on Criminal Minds or something. And it was like, that was the only way that I could make sense out of it and connect, because they change one project to another project to another project. And it's like one name, it's just like it's so disjointed in so many ways that I think, how can the public possibly, how they're going to end up in the wrong doorstep? That's all I feel like. They're going to the wrong doorstep.
I know. And I like, I don't know how I think this is why they also gravitate towards like, what's his name? Chris Bledsoe and stuff. Like, I think he's the real deal. And then his message is actually quite simple. And it's not as scary too, right? So it's like this light being he saw, and then I was at Contact in the Desert, and someone's like, oh, he's got like bigwigs with him, right? He's got someone said they're CIA, and I was like, maybe, I don't know. But then I think he's the real deal, but he's conversing with those people, and I think that makes sense, because I think that they want they're looking for that experience or connection in a clean and easy way. They don't want crazy guy, right? They don't want, I can see the battle that they have as the government, who maybe in some ways are trying to bring some of this information out, and they themselves struggle doing it. I'm certain there's a push and pull there where some portion of them doesn't want it out, but I think there's a portion that does, and is trying to do it the right way. And so I just hope that, stuff like that, where they actually are listening to Chris Bledsoe, or they are trying to make that bridge happen to the experiencer level, to make the message about the non-human intelligence more digestible, realistic to what it really is all about. So yeah, crazy time.
One could hope. Yes. Is his son? He's an experiencer too, right? Chris is. Or was that? Yeah, Ryan Bledsoe. Yeah, I think the entire family was involved, or I think the daughter, son, and him were all involved, and he's the one who's taken. And I don't know the full story. I haven't read his book. I keep seeing glimpses of it, but Ryan Bledsoe was involved in some way too. And then they all do the sightings together. So I've been at Contact in the Desert with Chris Bledsoe there, and my entity came out too. So that was really neat too. So my orb came out, and then that confirmed for me that we're dealing with this exact same thing.
So we're just dealing with a phenomenon, and it makes shapeshift for people and contort and do different things for people, but it's relatively the same thing. So
Yeah, I haven't pulled it up, or I did find that was my wall, my picture of how I put together, how I started to put this whole thing together.
This is the UFO phenomenon for you? That's what this is?
Yeah. This is what I did. Yeah. I even had them tabbed, and I had what agencies and who was with what agencies, and I like that was what I did. And everybody has their, but did you find like once you just kind of immersed yourself in every piece and every part of all of this? Like I was doing things I was like Einstein's, field theory. Like I'm going through stuff I never thought I would even come close to looking at.
The only thing I focused on was what they gave me. Oh. So they gave me indications about some government stuff. And so they did hint that there was a meeting. They hinted at a meeting with aliens in the 50s. And I had to know what that was all about. So I went down the Eisenhower road, and I feel like there's definitely circumstantial evidence that some type of meeting occurred at some point. And there's some pretty good evidence that it happened. And actually, never mind that Colonel Corso said he was there. And now clearly Colonel Corso was right, because people are validating Roswell, and he wrote the book Day After Roswell. So he's the real deal. Colonel Corso was the real deal. His words are the real deal. And he said he was at an Eisenhower meeting with non-human intelligence. So yeah, there is definitely, that's the avenue I went down. And then the elder also gave me some indication that between the DOD, CIA, FBI, like the reason it's in the critical moment we're in right now is because of how your government, by the way, not my government.
Oh yeah, I forgot you're in Canada. I keep saying our government. You're like, hey,
my government doesn't care. Mine doesn't care at all, apparently, anyway. But your government, I guess the idea is that arrangement was made at some point, and then it fought with each other. So because what people seem to be missing is your FBI actually has a department for experiencers. Yeah. And everyone seems to pretend that that's not part of this picture. It's really interesting how that's happened, right? That guy went public 10 years ago. He wrote a book, the FBI guy. He was in the Missing 401 movie with David Paulides. So
you're right. Yes.
The FBI was investigating experiencers. So they just kept that to the side. Right.
And because they act like it's all the CIA. And I was exactly. Like, you're right. Because I do remember hearing that. I had questions.
It's fascinating. What the elder, my entity, through the telepathy that I have, explained to me that's why we're in the scenario we're in, the public is, the world is, DOD, CIA, FBI fought with each other. Mm-hmm. Right. So the aliens might prove something to one group, and the other groups has the vested interest that's different and says, no, we're not going to tell people that aliens are real because this, disrupts this. And so you have an internal fighting that starts lasting over decades that ends up shaping some of how the field has come together. And when I did that research, I think that that's probably legitimate, that it does seem that each department on their own had their own investigations into trying to understand the phenomenon, and then they couldn't come together in a cohesive way that didn't, that made it okay for the public, and then it turned into a internal struggle never mind the Department of Energy, which seems to be tied to the black projects.
Yeah.
So that's a whole other ball game that's going on. So yeah, it's just a nuts.
It really is. It is crazy. And it's to think, I don't know why they took them completely black, but some of these projects, once you start to know those, and they'll switch names, like they go from the AATIP, or it was AAWSAP to the AATIP to the TTSA. Then you got NIDS. I mean, like they're just switch. It's like going, so you can't keep track of it. It's so much complicated. You're like, okay, there's like 30 people or projects, one's carried off of the other.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. Uh-oh. Coley, you left again. I'm going to answer the question. I got a question. Do you think these aliens can go to the heavens? The aliens are in the afterlife. Yes. They are higher dimensional entities, and I've seen them there. So, yes, they are entities that can go into the afterlife. So I was answering the question.
Oh, good. Thank you. Thank you. I don't know. This is the second time I haven't been kicked out in a long time. Apparently I said something. I was going to ask you something. Now I forgot where I was going with it, but yeah. What were we saying right before I got kicked out?
We're talking about the government, DOD, black projects. Black projects specifically.
Yes. Those black projects. So I just think, what are they so bound if they know nothing about this? And what do you think that they're so determined to hide from everybody?
This is where it all gets dark. I can tell you what I know, at least what I'm pretty certain is true. And I have cooperation for it. They can't save everybody. They can't save everybody. So imagine what happens if maybe a big planet event is going to happen.
Oh.
And then out of nowhere, you want your infrastructure, some version of it, to survive. Then you're going to hunker down, maybe build some bunkers, protect yourself. And they have to tell the public, which is what this 10-year period is of 2017 to 2027. They'll tell them, but they just might run into their bunkers when they do. And,
right? Though I could see that happening. Because
they didn't prep the public, and it's going to be a freaking mess.
So they're ensuring they're getting their spot in there and first and foremost.
Yeah, that's what speculative, but so my connection is that. So I saw great waves. I saw a planet event. That's pretty devastating. And then I had a collaboration with Linda Moulton Howe, and I communicated with her about that. And so a scientist was tasked in the 80s with how to save humanity from massive tsunami waves that would be a mile high. And how would you save humans? And so he was tasked to do that. He was in S4, which is now legitimate and real. Mm-hmm. And at the time, it was all still speculative. And so S4 is real, and he was working there trying to figure it out. And that scientist knew the information came from aliens. So from extraterrestrials, that's how he was told it. And so he gave that information to Linda. I've seen them. Chris has seen them. Chris Bledsoe has a whole Great Waves thing. And I talk about this publicly every now and then. And I occasionally get a contactee who says, I saw Great Waves in my contact event too. And when I went public with it the first time, I had a local contactee who was on Linda's Moulton House show talking about Great Waves. So we keep seeing these massive, devastation occurring. And from everything I know that's going to happen, it's this changeover that's going to be occurring is accompanied with this. It's accompanied with
what kind of changeover is it? Of like what kind of
some type of dimensional shift.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. Okay,
some type of electromagnetic field shift that might involve the poles, or might involve some type of electromagnetic frequency shifting that allows them from their dimension to be here with us.
So is it like a Noah's Ark type deal come into play? The 2x2?
Yeah. Well, Noah's Ark for, yeah. Well, I don't know how you mean that, but I do mean
like not everybody's getting on that boat.
The aliens are taking people. I know the aliens are, and I think that they're saying, humans, you got to figure yourselves out. And I think they thought the humans would all try to save each other. Instead, the government is like, the government's like, forget that, and they're like trying to hunker down and take all their stuff. That's what that's what I fear. This is the great fear that I have.
Yeah,
this is with a play that's happening, and that's why I kind of laugh about the Stephen Bassett thing. It's not going to be like that, because we can't. There's so many problems. We still aren't evolved as a society to handle them. So that's really a big part of this problem, and then. They wanted us to be, and now this event has to happen to make this shift happen, to make this dimensional thing happen. So they're taking us who can be, and then they are settling back down with the hybrids involved as well too. So it's a whole gambit, and I'm convinced this is what's going to happen. And it sounds awful.
So no, well, I mean, it is what it is. It really is. So do you think, I guess, that we'll make it on that ship or that boat? Since we have our,
I know it sucks because I don't want to be the one to say these kind of words, but I believe so.
Getting on, okay, like that's okay,
Yeah, I believe so. But I've actually said this to an experiencer that I'm pretty certain we're all going to live together. I'm pretty certain
Roomies.
that they're gonna like recreate things. They're gonna recreate like white picket fence homes and stuff, and and they're gonna try to keep some semblance of the population but it'll be their world after that. And but they're the good guys. That's the difference here. They are the touchy-feely, spiritually hearted, children-hearted, very sensitive, good guys. And we are the ones who are kind of ape-like and very Neanderthal-like.
Yeah, that's very true also. So in your contact experiences, have you ever had markings?
The very first contact event, I had to eventually learn I had an implant in my ear, and I had a strange gash on the back of my ear that lasted a long time. It lasted months, and it wouldn't heal properly. And it was a strange gash that was like as if my ear had gotten pulled or tugged. So it was like a weird, like as if once the gash was there, it felt like I could pull my ear off. It was so awful. It was like this weird, bizarre gash. Yeah, and it had trouble healing. And that's about. Oh, and I had nosebleeds that fall as well too. And I also ended up having something put up my nose. That's it. I have never had any physical indicators bodily indicators. Oh well, Sorry, I forgot. My 20s, the last contact event that happened right here. I ended up having these bizarre scratches on my back. So it's very weird. My wife, I was set to drive my wife in the morning, 6 a.m. to go to the airport. So I go to bed around 1 a.m. in the morning, and I lie down, and my wife gets in about 3 a.m. So there's a 3-hour period. I get up to drive her to the airport, and I can feel scratches on my back, but I'm unconscious a little bit. I'm not thinking about it too much. And I can feel them when I get on my bed. They kind of roll in them, but they're slightly uncomfortable. I don't think about it too much. And then I get in the shower by the morning after I drive my wife to the airport. And it's like 9 in the morning now at this point. And I go and have a shower, and my back stings like crazy. Oh. And I'm like, what the hell? And I look on the mirror, and there are these perfectly lined scratches. Like they're just as if someone had a ruler. It's like bizarre. And they're all over the place, all coming down my back, different angles. And I was freaked out. I didn't understand it at all. I took a picture. My wife was like, what the hell? Where'd that come from? I'm like, I don't know. And then she's like, are you cheating on me?
Right.
As if they're like, I'm like, hey, they don't look like claw marks, okay? So they're single lines. And why would I share that with you? Like, that doesn't make any sense. She couldn't understand where it came from. I'm like, the 3 hours I was sleeping, that got on my back because it wasn't there the night before. And that night before I got the scratches, I had been pulling something out of me that I'd connected with. It's hard to explain. It's in the book. And so it makes a lot of sense eventually as the story goes. The aliens gave me a download. Let's put it that way. Okay. And I didn't know about the download. And for the first time, I'm touching it. So I'm kind of like tuning into it without knowing its source. So I'm trying to write out what's going on. I feel this thing in me, and I'm remembering the consciousness event that occurred to me back in 1997. So I feel like it's linked. I don't understand this. I'm drawing this out. And then that night, I got the scratches on my back, and I assumed, or at least they were connected, but I didn't understand the connection at all. So that was the first time there was a weird connection. Like why? What was the link there? I couldn't figure out the consciousness event, 1997. Downloading this or bringing this thing into me that was putting it out on paper, and then I got scratches on my back, and it made me feel it was paranormal. I thought something ghostly had happened to me, and I didn't know at all. And it turned out I had a contact event in the 3 hours that we were sleeping there. I was taken out of the bed, and then the aliens were like, "You can't touch that until you have your memories," and I got scolded. Lightly scolded, gently scolded. But it was a reminder is more what it was. It wasn't a painful scolding. Yeah.
Well, no, that is, I mean, that it is. I've woken up with them before. I remember my son saw him, and like, what was weird about it though, I was looking for the picture of it, is that I had drawn what I thought, I've seen this like a couple different times where there's this formation and then I see all of these like orbs and I look like I thought we were having an invasion a couple times. They like, it's just like continuous. And I was like, are they craft? What's going on? Like I literally, that's what I thought. And so I drew it down and that would have been December of 2018. And by just December and then July, by that following July, it's on the back of my leg and I recognized it. I was like, wait a minute here. That was what, and I remember I dug through all the notebooks because I had like notebooks galore I've been taking notes on, and here it matched up and I'm like, what is this? And so somebody told me, and there was like even more significance. It was like came from the Seven Sisters, which my birthday is on May 7th. And it's like, it's in the, I think it's Pleiadian star system or like Taurus, like it would have been the boat. And I'm a Taurus. And I was like, okay, now what does this all mean? Is it confirmation? Is it, it was, at the time I grabbed my son, I was like, we're just going to go stay at a hotel for a couple days until I get this figured out. But, it was enough where I was like, this is weird. Like, this is definitely weird.
Yeah, that is. So did you ever make a connection about the meaning behind it?
That's as far as I just, not necessarily completely, but somebody spotted it. It was one on YouTube and they saw it and they're like, this is so-and-so, but it wasn't until recently because it's always sat with me and I'm like, what the hell is this all about? And then it's always sat with me. But then when I started going through, I was like, the Seven Sisters. I'm born on May 7th. It's in Taurus. Okay, I'm a Taurus. I think maybe in me drawing that map before, sometimes I go through where I'm like, maybe I'm like seeing this. Is this, really what it is? Maybe I'm just like, there's some glitching things going on. So I think for me, it was like, hey, confirmation, like this is real. You can stop trying to, whatever you're doing here and talking yourself like off of a cliff because it's happening. So that's how I kind of felt like it was, something more like that. But
right. Trippy.
Yeah, it is trippy. It is when it happens. It's very trippy. And you're like, okay, because it seems like he can kind of like inch away from it in so many ways. But I do believe that we agreed to it. I don't think that we're here like, and I'm not with anybody on the gray, like, all grays are bad and they're coming for you and sucking your brains out with a straw or anything like that. I think that's like a mad science show off of the 90s I watched. But, it is crazy because instantly you'll hear people and they're like, I said, you can't look at this the same way you look at like somebody being abducted, like by a van, on your street.
I know. They look at it. Yeah, they think it's all maniacal. They look at that and then they look at cattle mutilations and they say, okay, this is evil. There's no way this is not evil. And you're like, no, actually, this is not like that. It's a lot different. And it's not dark. It actually, it's shadow inducing. So you have to break your own shadow. So that is dark, but it's not dark. Even the shadow isn't dark. Shadow is, you have to approach your shadow just to grow and to evolve. So.
Yeah, that's true too. I mean, you really do. You have to embrace all of this. I mean, there's so many complex layers to this. And I know I want to get your clips done, so I have to keep it below. And I see that we're almost at 2 hours, Jeff. Can I invite you back for a part 2?
Of course, Coley. I love being on. It's so much fun.
All right. And is there any, you guys, I'm sorry to wrap this up quick, but I want to get there's some shorts on here I really want to get out. And it's so less complicated if I do it within 2.5 minutes. So, Jeff, I'll be in touch. Is there anything you want to leave the audience with as we're leaving abruptly here? I could talk to you forever. I know. It's great. So much fun, Coley. Everyone, you're God. That's my favorite thing to say. You're the universe. Non-dual reality is real. You're God. And we are all God. And hopefully you try to figure out what that means for yourself. And we'll be seeing you soon. Thanks again, Jeff. So real quickly, thank you guys for all staying with us. I just want to get it down so I can get these clips out. Thank you for taking the journey into the unknown. I'm Coley. We got some exciting stuff coming up, and I will come back on live and tell you about it. But for right now, I want to get those live. I want to get those clips. So. Things that ain't lying, UFOs in the night we're flying. Paranormal tales in the air, cryptid sounds, ain't no time to spare.
Submission X is stirring vibes, Coley